It's a great pleasure to welcome the Chief Executive Officer at Macrocom, Sivi Moodley. Sivi, how are you doing? It's really good to see you. How long have you guys been around, and what is Macrocom?
Firstly, Aki, thank you so much. Great speaking to you. Okay, Macrocom has been around from 2005, and we're one of the leading IoT technology service providers in South Africa. I think what makes us unique is a lot of people talk IoT, but we actually have over 200,000 connected devices in different spheres connected onto one single platform.
Wow. So, I mean, that's like, when I said IoT is in your DNA, it's definitely in your DNA. But you mentioned the number of 200,000. What's at the core of your business?
So, Aki, we focus on different sectors. One is energy management. The next is water, agriculture, health, logistics, and fleet analytics. But if we look at energy management, where we provide solutions to municipalities, to private estates, as well as to big corporates, to be able to monitor the energy spend and to optimize the energy costs. The other thing that's really core is our water solutions. We believe water is really one of the big focus areas that all of us need to focus on. It's going to be a really scarce resource. And what we do is we provide specialized technology to help manage that resource.
Sivi, I just love what you talk about water. I mean, the water for me is just the one big passion that I have, because we know what a scarce resource it is. And I love your solutions that you can put in a little smart meter, an IoT device, and at any time you can monitor exactly what water you're using. And of course, you can pick up so many things from a simple device like that, because you can pick up if there's a water leak, you can pick up all sorts of other things, right? I mean, this is incredible technology. How small is a device like the one you're talking about, and where would it go?
So absolutely, Ati, actually devices are very important. It's very small devices. And what we do is we're able to convert an existing mechanical water meter by plugging in a device that's no bigger than a matchbox, but built in with a battery life that lasts up to 5 years, built on one of the new communication protocols called Sigfox. I know you interviewed the guys from Squidnet previously, who have covered the country with the Sigfox network. And this sends very small packets of data. Therefore, you can build devices with long battery lives, but giving you all that intelligence. So you provide automatic meter reading, provide leak detection, apps on your phone that as a consumer, I can actually see what my water bill is. I can actually see if there's a leak on my water system and be proactive in managing that.
So, I mean, that kind of stuff blows me away. I love the analogy I heard a few years ago when IoT was becoming a sexy word. And it's almost like we're adding a nervous system to technology. So all of these devices connected, sharing information. And of course, it's all going somewhere up in the cloud and happening somewhere there. But it's an interesting play where you guys are, because you both on the enterprise side, you deal with municipalities and you deal with individuals like myself. So where do you see your perceived role in the IoT industry?
Look, the IoT is a very fast growing space. And I think where it's really important now, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, where you need to look at remote solutions to be able to manage systems and to be able to be very cost effective in how you do that. And that's where IoT plays an important role. So if you look at the healthcare space, to actually create telemedicine and get the opportunity for doctors to be able to engage with their patients remotely, and using IoT as an enabler to that. That's where, so I therefore really think IoT is really the future of where we should be going.
And is that where your role is going to be? I mean, really assisting businesses, enterprises, organizations. I mean, this is the new norm, and this is a journey that everybody has to go through, because quite frankly, if we don't start monitoring and doing these kind of things in the IoT space, you're going to be left behind. So we're adding, you and your organization are adding incredible value to companies and individuals and the like.
No, absolutely. We see that as an important role that we play. And even if you look at sectors where previously technology hasn't really been applied, if you look at the agricultural sector, and there's so much opportunities that can go into this agricultural sector to be able to digitize it and help with food security. How do you actually improve small-scale farmer to improve his yield and give them access to the market. Some of the solutions that we've deployed for monitoring all aspects of a farm, from the soil, taking the pH level in your soil, your temperature, etc., and then helping you increase yields, tracking your cattle, and then putting that into a digitized platform so that the small-scale farmer is able to access bigger markets.
Yeah, I said this is like mind-blowing stuff that you're talking about, and it's really it's so inexpensive. This is the beauty about it, and you're adding some kind of network connectivity and adding and bringing this data to life that's being analyzed via an algorithm and being. I mean, can you just like, I know you mentioned the size of it and the battery life of these kind of devices, but where does the data go? It goes, what I imagine, goes into the cloud via a low frequency network. How do you gather all of that information?
What happens is the devices are talking on different types of communication protocol. As a company, we're agnostic to the type of protocol. We use Sigfox,
Okay.
LoRa, NB-IoT, GSM, depending on the use case that the customer needs. But that information goes via the cloud into our network servers. And then we provide the analytics layer. I think that's what's very important, is providing the analytics and the business intelligence around. There's a lot of information, but how do you utilize that information to make a difference, to actually do an improvement on business? So that's what we really got. We've got an analytics layer, what we call our IoT platform. It gives you usable insights. We're able to customize that reporting to what the business requirements are. So no point. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I'm saying that, I mean, that's amazing, but can a business customize that information? Can I go to Macrocom and I say, well, this is the sector that we're in. Can you take the data and customize it in a specific way? Are you able to mold it in the way I want my data?
Absolutely. That's what we specialize on. We would customize the data, but also what we're able to do is to integrate into your existing systems. So you don't have to remove existing systems. One of the things that we do very well, and as you said about the cost effectiveness of IoT, is look at the existing infrastructure. Like in a municipality, we wouldn't go and report a water meter and put in the new water meters, but see how we can make that smart. In the vehicles field that we're really big in, we are able to pull information from any tracking device that you have in your car. So I don't have to remove the tracking device. Taking that information, I give you an analytics layer that gives you true cost of operation and driver behavior. So our focus is to be able to provide the most cost-effective solution that gives you the actual intelligence that a customer or a business requires.
I mean, this is exciting. The fact that you guys offer all of this, and you do the analytics and the algorithms and the data crunching, because at the end of the day, if you're not doing anything with the data or making sense of that particular data, it's worthless to anyone. And I mean, you often hear we're just overwhelmed by huge and copious amounts of data in the world that we're living in today, which is fantastic. And I'm just thinking of other use case scenarios. I mean, you've mentioned water meters, we've discussed electricity, you've talked about farming. I'm even thinking of things like monitoring pollution levels, which is probably something that you guys already have a solution for.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of building management, you want to look at managing the level of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the environment and the pollution. So we've actually just partnered with a few major international companies, and we're bringing in different technology to look at that space. I think the other interesting thing that what Macrocom has is that we have the ability to build devices locally. We have a factory here, so it's South African made, locally manufactured. Currently, we've specialized on the Sigfox network. The Sigfox is more preferred to the country, but we have the ability to build on any device. And the other thing is, one might be surprised, but we're quite advanced in South Africa in terms of the IT space. To the extent we're heading into the US at the moment.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that. I mean, because if you're developing so many, if you're manufacturing locally and you've got this local, it's just absolutely fantastic. You just mentioned the US now. I imagine that there must be lots of markets that are opening up for Macrocom. I mean, where does that future lie? And tell us about this expansion to the US. How did that come about?
So it actually came about by our partnership with Sigfox. So we're currently one of the leading Sigfox providers in South Africa. We put devices on the network, and the guys in the US, Sigfox in the US, invited us to actually look at providing solutions there. And we saw the opportunity to open an office. We actually opened an office in Atlanta, Georgia, providing them a unique solution for the US market. One of the requirements in the US is every worker in the hotel industry needs to have a panic button. And
Okay.
we're able to provide a panic button on the Sigfox network where a worker working in a room presses the button if they're in trouble. And so with Sigfox US as well as our partners, we are able to provide this full ecosystem, and we're launching, well, we started with the POC there, and we're launching full out in the US very shortly. The other exciting product that the US is interested in is our fleet analytics, our tracking product.
That is so exciting. Do you see that are the markets very different in terms of what kind of devices they would use in the US, for example, versus South Africa, for example? Sure, there must be, some products that, would be very different, but are they a market that have really very different needs in terms of the IoT space than a developing nation like South Africa would have?
Not really. I think what's important, what Macrocom focuses on is not actually the technology, but understanding where the problem is and finding the right appropriate technology to solve that problem area. Therefore, we're agnostic to the type of carrier, the type of technology, but rather understanding what the use case is. And these use cases are perfect throughout the world. No matter where you are, you have the same challenges of the water, energy, managing your
Yes.
assets, managing your agricultural sector. It's finding the appropriate technology to be able to solve that problem.
Okay, and Sivi, it's quite interesting, and we're talking about very broad stuff over here. But is Macrocom a company that, say, if I was in manufacturing, for example, and I wanted a specific solution for something in my manufacturing plant, is that something that I, as a company, can come to Macrocom and say, please, can you design and build something for me specific for my needs?
Absolutely. That's one of our core focus. What we will do is we'll sit down, provide a consulting service, understand really what you're trying to solve. Not just focus on the technology, but realize what you're trying to solve and help you design the right technology, even to building prototypes and taking it into our factory to build. But providing the software and the management layer as well to that.
Gee, this is like, you know what, you're talking my language here. I love what you guys are doing. It's just an awesome. I mean, where do you see IoT in the future, and where do you see it looking in South Africa, for example? I mean, if you look in the last few years, we've often heard of all these numbers that have been spoken about 25 billion connected devices, and everyone's got a different number. But where do you see the future of IoT globally and in South Africa, for that matter?
I definitely see it as a space that's going to be growing and expanding and exploding. It's really going to provide really great opportunities for us to upskill ourselves and create new jobs. I think IoT and the connectivity of creating this connected world is something of the future. It's not something science fiction that we're going to see really, really far in the future. It's coming now, and we need to be at the forefront of it. And I think there's lots of great South African companies that are doing a lot of good work, and it's going to help us grow and earn foreign direct revenue in South Africa as well.
How many devices do you see, IoT devices, being connected in the next 5 years? Is it difficult to predict? Is there a number that you're willing to stick your neck out and say, tell us, for example, in terms of IoT in South Africa, more or less, how many devices do we have, and how many do you see in, say, 5 years from now?
So IoT in South Africa is a very growing space. I think the major network operators count tracking SIM cards as IoT. If you look at that, there's quite a bit of it. I don't do that because to me it's just a normal GSM SIM card. But pure IoT devices, we have a few 100,000 that's in the market at the moment. But I think in the next 5 years, it's going to go to a few million. There are quite a few great companies out there. I think with the SquidNet Sigfox network covering the country, it helps. With LoRa coming in and building private LoRa networks, it's going to start growing. But also, it's just like the start of after GSM cell phone networks. The beginning, nobody had a cell phone. Today, everybody has a cell phone.
Yes.
And soon you're going to find every company is going to have some IoT device trying to solve an IoT problem, trying a business problem using IoT. And I think that's where we really are. That's where the excitement is. We're like the start of this revolution.
Well, I can see your passion, and I share your passion, Sivi Moodley, and I thank you for talking to us. and sharing with us the roadmap for Macrocom, what you guys are currently doing. And it's great to see a South African company doing so well and on the cusp of really, really amazing things in partnership with lots of other different partners that you have. I mean, this is a partnership. You've mentioned Sigfox, you've mentioned a lot of your other partners, and it's very, very exciting what the world holds ahead of us. So on behalf of all of us, and thank you for joining us, Sivi Moodley, the Chief Executive Officer at Macrocom, wishing you every success at Macrocom.
Thank you so much, Aki. I think one thing I like to say is we don't like to show PowerPoint presentations, etc. We like people to come and see live connected devices. So when you have a chance, come to our actual office and we will show you, and you can touch and feel and see devices that really work in the field.
Well, I'll tell you what, Sivi, I'm going to take you up on that because I love to see these things physically as well. I mean, I've seen the presentations and I've seen a couple of your videos and I've seen you at the conferences before. But, you know, when it's tangible and you see what the power of IoT is, there's no denying that it's got a massive role to play in the future. Thank you for your time, Sivi.
Thank you so much, Eric.